Hey everyone, welcome to Regents Physics. This is, for the Meet the Teacher. My name is Mr. Clow. In case you're not able to show up, or in case we don't have one, I just want to quickly go through a lot of the stuff about this course, give you a chance to kind of get an idea of expectations. Hopefully, everyone had a chance to look at the course syllabus that I sent home with the students. But in case you didn't read it all or didn't get to see it, I'm just going to kind of hit the most important things here. So first, the best way to contact me is through email. If you email me at my school web address, I can respond very quickly and pretty much at any point during the school day. You can also contact me through Canvas. You can either go onto your student's account or you can set up an account where you view their account, a parent account. Feel free to look online on the school webpage to see how that works. I'm not really going to be using Canvas too much except for that main aspect of communication. You can also call me through the school, but I find that this can be a little bit tricky at times since there can be conflicting times of freedom. So, I might call, and the only times that I can call would be pretty much too early in the day for some people. So, I think email would be a lot easier, but if you do want to call, feel free to do that, and I'll try to reach out. One of the things that I want to warn everyone, I told this to the students, but it's extremely important that you remember that this physics class actually is really tough. It's not tough in that the workload is big. It's actually pretty easy, pretty light. They don't really get a whole lot of outside work to do. All the work is kind of inside the class. But this class is tough because it's different from all the other Regents classes. Um, Pretty much every question that they get is a word problem where they have to read the problem, pick what information they're given, and then figure out what equation works. I found this question from an Algebra 2 trig question from the Regents, and this is very similar to the types of questions that they would see, except this equation would be along with seven others on another sheet of paper. So they'd have to like figure out what equation actually works best. But this class basically requires them to have really good algebra and reading comprehension skills. So that's kind of one of the reasons why it's tough. Though I always recommend that students keep at it because even if they're not going to continue on with physics, this class is really good at developing problem solving skills, skills that would definitely help later on in life. I also want to remind you guys that this class does end in Regents, so because of that, they the school wants to make sure that the grades that they're getting at the end of the year kind of reflect what they should be getting in the Regents. So if your or your child is getting 80s in the class, then that pretty much means that they should be getting an 80 on the Regents. There shouldn't be any sort of surprises where your kid's getting a 90 or 100 in the class, and then they get a pull of 60. So that shouldn't really happen. But because of that, it's not easy to get an 80, 90, 100 in this class. They kind of have to make sure that they do all the work. Like I said, we give them a lot of chances to kind of boost up that grade. There's not really a whole lot of outside work again. All of it's kind of in class. So if you do want to help your kid kind of boost the grade, contact me and I'll tell you some tips that they could do to kind of improve it to get as high of a grade as possible. I guess this won't really apply too much since not many students have taken the chemistry regents, but typically the grade that they would have gotten in the chemistry regents, not the class, but the regents itself, is very similar to what they would have gotten in this class. These are some materials that they should make sure that they have on hand. I do recommend that they have a pencil with an eraser so that they can do practice problems. They can erase mistakes, things like that. A pen can get a little messy with crossing out. They should be getting a calculator from their math class. So if they're not taking a math class, I hopefully they should get some sort of scientific calculator that has trig functions. And then also, I highly recommend that they get a 3 ring binder, mainly because I give out a lot of worksheets, a lot of note packets and stuff, that it really helps if they kind of have it organized. I'm already seeing kids having folders in their backpacks for all the material, and they kind of have or they're constantly like flipping through, trying to figure out where the packets are. We've only had 2 so far, and some of the kids are already losing it. So I highly recommend that they start getting 3 ring binders just to keep everything neat and organized. So there's 2 main categories of grades. This is per the science department. So there's assessments and class participation, both 50%. For assessments, it's made up of 3 parts. Tests, which is going to be the bulk of that 50%, about 40% of it. They're going to take a unit test every 3 or 4 weeks. They're pretty much going to end up having 2 tests within a quarter. And then they'll have a quarterly, which allows us to drop their lowest test grade. This is pretty much going to look very similar to the Regents that they're going to take at the end of the year. Multiple choice free response, pretty straightforward. Then there's going to be quizzes. So after they take the test, they'll get a chance to do test corrections, answer the questions that they got wrong. And this is going to count as a quiz. So this is a nice, easy way to boost up that grade, give them an extra 10%. I pretty much can work those questions with them, so it's not like they're doing them by themselves. They have me on hand. They can ask their friends. They can work with other people. So again, it's a really easy 10%. Class participation is also 3 categories. So there's the classwork and class participation part. So at the end of the week, or throughout the week, I should say, they're going to be giving grade on how they do in the class. This accounts for things like whether or not they're working on the do now, doing the classwork like they're supposed to, responding when I call on them, and not just saying, oh, I don't know, like they're actually attempting questions. Basically, as long as they're attempting work, then they're going to be getting full points for classwork, and they'll get a grade at the end of the week, basically saying how much work that they've been doing. If they're late at any point, it takes points off. If they're playing on their phone a lot, doing outside work, basically doing things that they're not supposed to, that takes away some points. So if you look on iCampus, where all my grades get posted immediately, and you see that the classwork, the class participation grade is fairly low, or not 100, that usually means that they're doing something wrong. Homeworks, I don't really do a whole lot of homeworks, but every now and then I'll have them do a worksheet or a castle learning assignment. These are going to be 10%, mostly graded on completion. Sometimes I might look at the work, just to kind of have them get practice on what it means to show work. And then there's labs, which are 25%. One thing I want to point out is, unlike some of the other science classes, labs are all mandatory. They're not allowed to miss or skip a lab. So in order to take the Regents at the end, they have to complete every single lab that we do. Most of the labs should be done in class. Typically, by the end of the period, whenever they're done with the labs, the only thing that should be left is the conclusion. So if they don't have enough time, that might be the only thing that they have to do outside of school. But besides that, they should have enough time to do all that lab work in the class. So they shouldn't be missing any unless they're absent. And in addition, if they're not getting the best grades, I usually recommend that they show me the lab before they hand it in, and then I'll point out where they're making mistakes. Usually, what I do is during the lab period, I'll write on the board all the things that I'm going to be taking points off, units in certain locations, things about the graphs. So I kind of give them a checklist on things to review. So if they're not getting 100, usually that means that they're not paying attention to that checklist, and they're just kind of submitting it right away. So again, like I said, I'm always there to kind of help them out. And I highly recommend that if they're not getting the highest grades on these assignments, reach out and I'll let you know about what they should fix, what they should change about how they go about this. So Like I said, whenever they're absent, I'm going to try to contact them through Canvas to give them any of the assignments. I have actually a lot of lesson videos up posted on YouTube, so they can actually watch a lesson if they missed it, or if they weren't too sure what I said or they want to review. They actually are free to look at it and watch it over again. That way they don't actually ever miss any of the notes. The worksheets, they should end up having them beforehand, like pretty much whenever they come into class, they should get all the worksheets. So for the most part, if they're absent, they just need to try to make up that work, which they can get either from me or from a friend. There's a lot of helpful tips that I tell them. Usually, the main things that I like to tell them is first to be patient. A lot of times, this first quarter ends up being the hardest for people. The first two topics are just tough for the fact that it's a new topic still. You know, they're still trying to like get used to the whole adjustment to how this class is run versus a lot of the other ones, as well as the second unit just being difficult. But usually by the second quarter, like maybe near the end, beginning of the third quarter, people will start to kind of finally get transitioned enough and they'll finally kind of understand what they're supposed to do, and it becomes a lot easier for them. So I always recommend that, you know, they don't take the first quarter to heart, that they keep trying, they don't let it bog them down, and also to try to stay positive, because I've seen many times that even the smartest kids, if they enter with a negative mindset, it really does kind of hurt their grade. I also tell them to try to ask questions, get involved, do the problems. Again, one of the main issues I normally see with people who end up getting low grades is that they're not really participating like they should. They're not doing the do nows like they're supposed to. They're not asking for help. They're not asking me, or they're doing something that they're not supposed to. Um, I also tell them that, if they had any issues, to let me know as soon as possible. Things like homeworks and labs, if there's something going on at home, maybe they have a busy work schedule for a week, or maybe they're doing a lot of outside activities, or maybe there's a big event going on for, during the few days that a homework was assigned. I tell them to let me know that something came up that may make that assignment late, and that I'll try to work with them. But the only thing is that I just request that that kind of be told to me at least the day before. A lot of times, the students will tell me the day after that, oh yeah, I was busy with school or something. I was busy with work, and you know. I like to, it makes it a lot harder for me to kind of work with them when I'm told after the fact versus beforehand. So yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me through email or anything like that. Otherwise, I'll see you later, and maybe we'll meet each other during the parent teacher conferences. Thank you and have a great day.